Yep, no doubt about it. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, we're going to get to Mike Gill. Before we do that, there's one thing, John, I got to correct you on this opening segment. I think you'll be happy I corrected you. Oscar Robertson, John, is still alive.
Oh, is he? Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a bad job by me. Yeah. Wow, is he?
Yeah, 86 years old is Oscar Robertson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, big boy. Yeah, I apologize for that.
I'm good. I'm like, wait a second. Did he
Thank you.
And then I saw Joe Whip in the chat. He's still with us, J Mac. I'm like, let me double check that to make sure.
No, I'm glad. Hey, correct me at any time. I don't like getting shit like that wrong. I don't know why I thought he passed away, but I did. So I appreciate it.
That's all right, John. You got a lot of shit going on in that big brain of yours after this week. So let's get to it. Let's get to Mike Gill here joining us right now on Bird 365. For those of you who are daily watchers, normally we get Mike Gill on Wednesdays with the all messed up schedule. We got Mike on here on a Football Friday, who's kind enough to join us, take some time out for us. Here he is right now joining us on the show. You can follow him at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Mike Gill Show. Listen to him on 97.5 and 97.3 ESPN, 97.5 in Philly, 97.3 ESPN down the shore. Mike, how you doing on this Football Friday, brother?
Doing good, guys. I know crazy time with the schedules. Birds are back and ready to go, ready for the season. As everybody else, I'm moved on. Last season was in the books. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody's on board with that. Landon Dickerson was the latest to really kind of shut down the repeat talk. But I want to start with Vic because, you cover all Philadelphia sports on your shows. 97.3, the Sports Bash, ESPN, South Jersey, down the shore, and then up here, 97.5, the Fanatic. So you have to cover the Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, etc., even some Union occasionally. Is there a better thing in Philadelphia sports than Vic Fangio?
As we, we air a lot of the press conferences, and sometimes you're getting you're getting the runaround, the coach speak, but Vic Fangio generally is appointment listening because you are getting raw, unfiltered stuff from him generally every single time he speaks. So at this time, he is a treasure. I joked yesterday because he came out there with the blueberry smoothie, and I said I could see him walking down the street in Hamilton with his blueberry smoothie and just kind of like sitting on a park bench telling people stories like anything you want to hear, anything you want to know. And it doesn't seem like he likes talking. He just like begrudgingly is out there. And he's like, if I'm going to be out here, I'm going to give you something.
Yeah.
He just tells the truth. I think that's so much easier to do than try to spin people. And I don't know why more people don't do it because he certainly gets the benefit of the doubt. We all love the guy.
People who are like that, they can't lie. They don't know how to lie. They don't know how to not tell the truth. You know what I mean?
Well, like for instance, he said he didn't think Jahad Campbell would be ready until sometime in August. What's the difference if he says that and then he happens to get out there early? Hey, he got out there earlier than I thought. And then he said, look, sometimes the medical staff likes to overpromise, underdeliver, and then here they are. So
that was a great line, by the way. Great line.
I think the fact that Campbell's out there is a big story. I mean, it was one of my top 5 stories when I listed mine last week, and it's when will Campbell be ready to show what he can do, and once he's out there, what's his role? Well, now you get it from day one. He's there, which really should now, unless he can't put the pads on, that'll be different when we find out when they put the pads on. Will he be on the field? These first 2 days have been no pads, so maybe he can run around and do that stuff. Maybe he can't hit yet.
Yeah, he's on rep count. We're going to see. I always say, there's so many rules with the NFL. You have to write them down to keep them in order. One is the ramp up period for camp, which has changed over the years. So days 1 through 3 are no contact. Days 4 and 5 are spiders and shells, which is helmets and light practice gear. Day 6 has to be a mandatory day off. Day 7 onwards, you can put on the pads. Now, you don't have to put on the pads that day, but you can. So you're also limited with the number of padded practices you have. So you use them judiciously. But you're right. for all the, I'd like to call physical positions, Mike, really doesn't matter until you get the pads on.
Right. No, you can't figure out whether, the offensive line and defensive line can, run block, road grade. You're not getting this physical, stuff up front in those situations. I mean, the skill guys, obviously, you get a little bit better opportunity to do some stuff. But even without the pads, there are guys who can move more freely and fluidly in shorts and shirts. You put those pads on those same wide receivers who can run like the wind, and now maybe that stuff's, they're not as fluid and stuff. So yeah, these first couple of days is more terminology, getting all that stuff kind of down so that when you put the pads on, you're ready to kind of
and that's when players who are, and I've always brought up Lane and AJ, but also, and even though AJ's a wide receiver, like he really shows up when he can get physical with people. Lane really shows up when he can get physical with people. And now you can add Saquon to that list as well, as guys who just, but to your point, there's a lot of athletes that look great in shorts. And then the minute those pads come on and they got to add the physicality to it, things slow down a lot.
Well, and like a guy like Campbell, for instance, who might be, using pass rushing situations. What's the difference between him pass rushing with nothing on and running into Lane Johnson and then bang, getting, stood right up by Lane Johnson? How does that change his mentality of, whoa, I wasn't expecting a old man strength like that,
Yeah, that's a good way to describe
Lane Johnson is officially in the old man strength category.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that.
And Landon Dickerson, because, Landon was speaking yesterday, so it was about 5 feet away from him. My God, that guy's a monster. I mean, I just don't think people realize how big and physical that Eagles offensive line is.
Yeah. Well, Landon Dickerson gets the raw deal because he stands next to Mailata.
It's true. It's true.
Which is great. Landon's 6'6". I think a lot of people don't realize because of Jordan. Like he's tall.
Yeah, he's big dude.
Yeah, and next to Jordan, he looks like a little guy. I mean, so he's standing next to
it's funny. I the first day I got a picture of Ty Robinson because he was showing off his guns. Suns out, guns out. Ty Robinson is really, impressive physically. And he's got more of a bodybuilder look than I would say than a typical NFL defensive lineman. But somebody asked me, who's bigger, Ty Robinson or Jordan Mailata? It ain't close. Jordan Mailata is just a different type of dude, 6'8", 380.
Massive human being.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes it gets lost how big and strong those guys are.
So,
and Lane's point, Lane was talking about that, Mike. He said how much stronger he's gotten when he was younger, when he was a younger player.
Let me ask you, a couple days in so far, who are your candidates for Mr. Lehigh? Which I know they're not at Lehigh anymore, but.
Well, I joked if there was a yearbook, Alex Hunt would win most popular. So he's the early leader after 2 days. I mean, you got Jordan Mailata comparing him to Micah Parsons and Nolan Smith saying he's the best thing since sliced bread.
Normally you get some like,
you don't get those kind of comps though.
No, but sometimes you get some like 7th or 8th wide receiver that everybody.
You know what it is? It's usually I say this all the time. It's usually the big tall guys who make contested catches because I predict the top 5 sort of Mr. Novacare. I don't like Novacare. You can't get a catchy thing to it, but
yeah,
it's always the tall receivers. And they only have one this year that kind of fits the bill. Johnny Wilson's already been here. Johnny's incredibly tall, but new guy is Elijah Cooks, who nobody knows and hasn't done anything. So you have to do something. So they don't really have that guy. So
no Paul Turner.
Not yet. We'll see. I mean, Danny Gray's impressive from his.
I figured Danny Gray will be the one that everybody's going to start talking about.
Yeah, he can run, and the problem with Danny, too many drops. Terrace Marshall's been, I guess, for somebody that people don't know, he's probably been the most impressive, but they should know him. He was a second round pick. He was a star at
Gray
LSU.
was a third round pick too, which a lot of people feel like he might be that guy that surprises a little bit here. But you know, you got Dotson, you got Marshall, you've got Gray. So that slot corner, I mean, that slot wide receiver is probably Dotson by a long shot at this point. Now that he's in the offense and knows what he's doing.
He's not.
I think Terrace Marshall's making this football team. I mean, I was looking at Terrace Marshall's career last night, John, after our night show. This guy was really a stud at LSU. Now I'll leave that out because it's college.
He was a stud at LSU, but keep in mind who he played with at LSU.
Yeah. Well, he also played behind Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I mean, but then he goes to Carolina, right? I mean, Carolina's Carolina, and they were in quarterback purgatory. They still kind of are. Who knows what Bryce Young's going to be? Then he gets traded or wherever however he ended up. He ended up with the Raiders. I mean, they didn't have a world beater there. This is his first time since he came into the NFL with a competent quarterback and offense, really. Like, I think this kid's got real potential that he hasn't quite lived up to yet, but he certainly could get there this year.
The problem would be for him is where does he fit in? I mean, obviously Brown and Smith, you're not playing there. And Dotson, also a talented guy, similar to what you're saying, but good background. He's going to get whatever snaps are left over for the third spot. Marshall's role would be, sadly, if somebody got hurt, you would probably need him to be that guy. I don't think he has much of a role unless somebody had a missed time.
Well, for the first time in a couple years, though, and John, me and you have talked about this for the last, and Mike, you as well, and even before I was on the show with Jody Mack, we had nobody at depth in terms, like you used to say, John, boy, the receiver room is good, but if A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith goes down, they're effed. You know, like there's now I feel like Marshall is actually a legitimate outside wide receiver if something did happen. I mean, I don't know. What is he, 6'2", 200 pounds?
Yeah, he's over 6'2", 6'2.5", 205. So he's a big dude. And they've been looking, you know, I bring up all the time, people forget they signed Devontae Parker because they wanted a backup for AJ and Devontae outside the numbers, but Devontae ended up retiring. So he could be that guy. The problem is when you're building rosters, and I brought this up numerous times, if you're going to be a fourth or a fifth receiver, you got to play special teams. He doesn't play special teams. I looked into it. I asked Mike Kay, our old buddy, because he's down in Carolina. I said, does this guy play special teams? Not at all when he was down there. He didn't play special teams at LSU. I checked with somebody down there. He was a star. He didn't play special teams. He does not play special teams. So how do you justify keeping him on the roster when they want Johnny Wilson on this roster? I don't know why, but they want him on here. I do know why, but for the blocking aspect of it, but I think they overrate that, but that's just my personal opinion. He's going to be here. And then you have Anaya Smith, who is a guy that I thought it was very interesting when they went to special teams drills, which a lot of people don't pay attention to. Avery Williams, who's the guy they signed to be a returner, did not even take a rep as a punt returner. And he was there as the, first team kick returner. So it looks like they're going to keep those roles separate again. And if you're keeping Avery Williams and keeping Anaya Smith to return punts, there's no room. There's no room for Terrace Marshall on this roster. Now, the good part to that is he is now vested, so he doesn't have to go through waivers if he plays well in the preseason. And the Eagles can do hey, Terrace, we want you back. Sign him to the practice squad. And then if there's an injury, they can elevate him later. That's how I think Terrace Marshall sticks around.
Yeah, like the who they signed last year from Paris Campbell.
Yeah, Paris Campbell, Nick Gates, they did it with an offensive lineman. They kind of, bested guys that you do the wink stuff with. So that's how I think he could potentially stay around. but he might be too good. He might get an opportunity elsewhere. Especially if he plays well in the preseason. And if the spring and the first couple of days of camp are any indication, he's going to play well. So he's clearly the fourth best receiver on this team. But you're not just keeping the best 5 receivers because they need to do other things if they're backups. That's the difficulty if you're Howie Roseman.
No doubt.
And it's a science, really. But
the back of it is a little tougher. But I don't know. Maybe they float out Jahan Dotson on a trade if Terrace Marshall or Danny Gray or one of these guys look good enough. I don't think they would do that. I'm just wondering if it does give them leeway because they look at it like you, John, where they need the back guys to be special teams, other things, but they have guys who are – I mean, if it's a marginal difference between Dotson and Marshall or Gray or one of the others and you can get a draft pick, would they entertain it maybe or no?
Well, I brought up that with Dotson for a while because, Dotson's not going to be here. So if somebody breaks out.
Right. So I mean, he's got 1 year left.
Yeah. If somebody breaks out and we can get something for him, I brought that up myself a couple times.
Yeah. That's where I got it from.
But from the standpoint of Marshall's not a slot receiver. I mean, he's not playing in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you have to put Devontae in the slot, which he can do, and he can do effectively. But do you really want to do that with Devontae Smith? Because he can do so much outside. It could do so much with his versatility. Play inside, can play outside. But if you have Marshall and Brown, I mean, they're playing outside, and you have to have Devontae in the slot. I don't think the Eagles want to do that. So I don't think the fit is there for that. But we'll see. I mean, he's a good player. He's a good player.
So I think what you said before is, hey, wink, wink, we'll put you on the practice squad. And in the event that someone gets hurt, you're an outside receiver. That's the problem they've had. If Brown doesn't play, they really haven't had, or Smith doesn't play, they haven't had that guy who's an outside receiver with any physicality or size. You're throwing guys out there, and now the next thing you know is, if you have to have a week or two where Brown didn't play, I think a couple games he missed last year, the Tampa game certainly comes to mind. And you have Devontae's the only guy on the outside there. That's where Marshall could probably step in and then have a role.
Well, Devontae didn't play in the 10th. So they didn't have AJ, Devontae, or Lane Johnson in that 10th. That's why they got waxed so badly. Yeah. That's why they got – and that's why –
the playoff game from 2 years ago, AJ Brown didn't play.
Yes. Played. And that was ugly. Yes. And it tends to be ugly when AJ doesn't play. So that's one of those things.
It is, incumbent to say, hey, listen, if one of these guys gets hurt, misses, 2 to 4 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks because of a hamstring or something, we've got to be able to get someone that profiles as an outside wide receiver as opposed to, having Jahan Dotson go play outside. And then they used to do that all the time with Nelson Aguilar, where he excelled in the slot. Someone would get hurt. They put him back to the outside. Couldn't track a ball, so did not profile very well as an outside guy, but he really did his job between the hash marks.
And by the way, I should say Jahan Dotson can play outside. He's probably more comfortable outside than in the slot. So I think Jahan's a good player. So I don't think he's pushing Jahan Dotson. But I do think he's the 4th best receiver on the team. And that this is the deepest wide receiver group they've had in the Nick Sirianni era by far.
Which is a good thing. So it's a good problem to have. Mike, I want to ask you, just zooming out a little bit here, your takeaways. I mean, we've seen 2 days of camp. We've seen 2 days of reporters tweeting out what they've seen, talking to John, talking to all the guys you've talked to on your show down the shore. What things stick out to you the most from the first 2 practices of training camp this season?
Well, there's a couple things. One, obviously, I think the Quinyon Mitchell, what are they going to do with him? Because I was always wondering this year, I thought one of the big stories is what's the jump from year 1 to year 2?
Right.
We're talking a lot about how does, the guys who left, the replacements, but it almost might be a bigger deal of the guys who played last year, Carter, DeJean, Mitchell, Bond, those guys who played really, really well. What's the encore for them? What's your second act here? Are you even better this year than you were last year? And how much that changes the complexity of the defense that has all these new faces. But what if these faces that were here take a step forward? If Jalen Carter takes another step this year from the guy he was last year, now you got a real problem if you're the other team figuring out what to do with him. Quinyon Mitchell, one of the things I thought was interesting is that he's following guys around. So is that a situation where, hey, CeeDee Lamb this week, you're moving, we don't really see the Eagles do that all that often. So is that a possibility? And then Cooper DeJean, obviously. I mean, they're trying to find more ways to get him on the field out of the base, in the base packages. And obviously they play nickel a lot in the league. But what will his ultimate role be? Will we see him play any outside corner too? I mean, he's trying to take in 3 different spots on the field. He excelled at one spot last year. Is this going to be too much for this guy? Is he going to be able to handle this stuff? So I think there's a lot on that side of the ball right now that is very intriguing. And then Campbell being out there, what's his role? Nakobe Dean too, obviously not being able to get out there. Will Nakobe Dean have some sort of role and impact on this team? Or by the time he's healthy and ready, will they just say, can't get this guy 30 off the field, can't do it?
Yeah, there's always the danger of getting Wally pipped.
Not only Wally pipped, though,
guys,
John,
I think it's happening too. I'm sorry. I think it's if the season started today, let me just get this real quick for my understanding. If the season started today, Jahad Campbell could suit up. That doesn't mean he would play, but he could suit up. Is my understanding correct, or is not at that point?
I would be shocked if he wasn't suited up for a week.
So I think this guy's going to start week 1. I'm sorry. I think he's going to be maybe not start. He's going to be on the field week 1 in some regard.
And the injury that Kobe Dean had, I mean, let's be honest, that's a gruesome injury. For him to come back and be, even if he's the same player, which I got a hard time thinking you're the same player after that injury. Something's got to be compromised a little bit. Was he that outstanding that he just automatically gets his job right back as soon as he's cleared? I don't know about that.
According to Vic, he is. I think for whatever reason, there's a couple guys we talked about Milton yesterday, Zander and I, but and Nakobe's the other guy. Like, they were phenomenal last year. And for whatever reason, I don't think it registers with a bunch of people. Not everybody.
It doesn't register, I think, John, because they drafted a guy in that spot. So then in people's minds is they weren't happy enough with that guy. They drafted a guy in the first round to replace him, right?
Wait, you're making me laugh, John. Mike, John hit me with last night. I said the most insane thing he's ever heard because I said I think Jordan Davis.
No, most insane thing that I've ever heard from you, not the most insane thing.
Yeah, no, not
and total.
Because I have a belief that Jordan Davis has an upside that he could one day be a pass rusher to the likes of Milton Williams. How insane am I on your insane meter?
Oh, I would think that's those two are in different classes as pass rushers here. You had one guy who profiled at the draft combine closer to Aaron Donald when he was coming out, Milton Williams. His numbers, oh my God, the only other guy who's put these numbers up is Aaron Donald. He was a quick, explosive guy. Some of the problems with him was why he was a 3rd-round pick. He didn't profile with the long arms and the big guy. He had the shorter arms, but he had that quick, explosive first step. I don't know that Jordan Davis is going to be a guy that's quick, explosive off the ball. And what kind of, he could be a big physical guy and push the line back as a pass rusher. But I don't think he's swimming through with athleticism to get back into the backfield, which is where guys like Milton Williams have the spin moves. They can have the swim and all those things. They have those extra little tools in the interior where there's a lot of bodies and stuff. Jordan Davis, if he's going to pass rush, he's just pushing back through you. Maybe every once in a blue moon against an inferior interior,
nice,
might be able to slide through a crack here and there. But he's a big human being. But John, you've seen him in person. I mean, the pictures look like he has lost a significant amount of weight.
26 pounds.
That was my thought a little bit. Like, I know losing that weight's not going to change who you are as a player, but obviously couple that with the athleticism we've seen from him. I mean, I remember that one play that still sticks in everybody's head. It was from a couple of years ago. Might have been his rookie year when he just chase down Josh Allen. I'm like, boy, if you can hone this guy's skill set and get him in the right environment, I think he could be a good player in a 4-man front. But we'll see. I mean, I did think it was positive, Mike, the way he showed up to camp. And I don't know if you heard his press conference. He sounded like a little bit of a different player as well.
I'll tell you, the one thing is Jordan Davis is 6'6".
Yeah.
Aaron Donald, by the way, is like 6'1".
Yeah, right.
To be 6'6", the first thing you have to do generally, he stands up, and at 6'6", that's a big dude. At 6'1", you can stay low and get leverage. The low man wins. It's hard for a 6'6" man to be the low man and be able to get low enough to get the leverage enough to then use a spin move or hand placement. Now, if he gets up under and can physically push that offensive lineman back, that's his opportunity to win up front. But that's why I think he could never be a consistent pass rusher. Because number one, listen, even if I said that's the laziest human being you ever saw, I hope he's not. But at 6'6" to get leverage, that's really tough in the interior of the line.
No, and my point to Zander wasn't they're just completely different players with completely different skill sets. And, Jordan Davis is phenomenally athletic for a nose tackle, for a 6'6", 356-pound guy. Now he's 330, and we'll see how that affects him. For that frame, he is incredibly athletic. But yeah, Milton came out at like 282.
Well, just to clarify what I don't know if I articulated it properly or not.
But with the big guy, but still 3 inches shorter than Jordan Davis is.
I don't think Jordan would ever be the have the individual pass rushing ability that Milton had. But what I do think is possible, Mike, is if Jordan can become more versatile than what he has been, which is basically a nose tackle, and they can line him up in 4-man fronts, with confidence, whether it's rushing the passer or stopping the run. I think that gives your defense a chance to be better, even better than they were last year, because you don't always have to go to the 5-man front to stop the run. Now you have Jordan on the field in a 4-man front who can stop the run. Maybe it's a marginally worse pass rusher, but does overall that give Vic more ability to get Jahad Campbell on the field? Maybe 3 linebackers on the field, maybe an extra guy in coverage. Like, that's kind of what I was thinking in terms of upside with Davis in the 4-man front.
I would say this too. If Davis is more, is just a better player and space eating and taking up more attention, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Jahad Campbell, how much, those guys, we don't know what Hunt, this guy could be all over the map. He had a really good playoff run. He had a solid, I think, surprising, back end of the year. What does he do over 17 games? Same with Nolan Smith. Smith was outstanding in the playoffs, and really from November on, he made an impact. So are those two guys, like Josh Sweat was just a steady Eddie player, kind of. Is Jalix Hunt going to offer more in terms of pressure than Josh Sweat did? And if that's the case, the Jordan Davis you're talking about is acceptable. And if he could create more opportunities for those guys, I think you're looking at the opportunities he can create for the other guys rather than the opportunities he can create for his own self.
Yeah, I think that's a fair takeaway. Yep.
Yeah, I've said pretty consistently when we talked about Jordan Davis over the years and when they had Milton Williams, my argument would be for people that he's got to play more. He's got to play more. I said from Vic's standpoint, it's like, well, what do you mean he's got to play more? It's like, if it's 3rd and 10, I want, in the case of the end of last year, you want Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat and Jalen Carter and Milton Williams on the field. Why would you not want those guys on the field? This year, on paper, you want Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Jalen Carter, and Moro Ojomo. Like, why would you not want those guys on the field?
Yeah, right.
If everything goes to
now, did Vic's answer, John, change or at least alter like what you are expecting there to be? Because
again,
that question about Moro was interesting, and he did loop in. It's going to be eaten up by Jordan and Moro. I thought that was
because he values Milton a lot, and he knows how good Milton was. So his point is, it's going to take a village to replace Milton Williams, and you're going to have to split those reps. You can't just give them all to Moro Ojomo. because Morrow's probably not equipped from a size standpoint, things like that, to handle all those reps. So it's going to have to be split. Morrow's going to get more. Jordan's going to get more. And he even mentioned Ty Robinson and Thomas Booker, guys like that.
Yeah.
Byron Young even got a shout out. So,
well, and by the way, I think Morrow did get a lot of snaps last year. They just weren't, I don't want to say impactful snaps, but they weren't.
Well,
he's got back to the quarterback. He's doing his job.
He had a very good season. Their question with Moro Jomo is, can he do it over a larger sample size because he is undersized, or will that wear him down? Will people start to take advantage of it? So there's a lot that goes into it, but if they had their druthers, those are the 4 guys that are going to be on the field on 3rd and 10. Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Jalen Carter, Moro Jomo.
Yeah. And listen, and if Jalix Hunt is all of a sudden a guy that you're all excited about, and the first couple of weeks you're like, uh-oh, that's where the interesting part will be then. Does Azeez Ojulari, does he start to be the guy that like gets more attention? Does Josh Uche? Do they both make the team? Does only one of those guys make the team? Are you just banking that Hunt is going to go out there and be able to be the guy that you hope he is? I think for him, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of start he gets off to. He's getting all this attention. Are people going to start saying, we got to, I don't want to say game plan for him, but we got to put more attention on this guy. We don't know much about him. Let's watch some more film on this guy that had a little bit of a breakout late in the season. Because if you start to see some of the techniques and he's only got one trick, they figure you out quickly.
Yeah.
Ask Josh Uche, by the way.
Yeah, that is part of it, because nobody was paying attention to Jalix Hunt and Moro Jomo last year.
Right, like I said, ask Josh Uche. This guy had 11.5 sacks. The next year, people say, "Oh, what the hell is this guy doing? Let's figure it out."
Yeah, that's going to be a thing with a lot of players this year. Mike, one more guy I want to talk about before we let you go here. I appreciate the time you've given us on this Football Friday. Kelee Ringo, a lot of conversation about him. What do you think of what you've seen so far from training camp? I think he's a player that inherently has the ability. You just have to kind of unlock it. A lot of people kind of sounding the alarm because he's getting beaten up by A.J. Brown and Terrace Marshall at camp. What'd you make of the Kelee Ringo talk?
Oh, Ringo is a guy that has been maddening because in Georgia, this guy has all the talent. He's got the physical traits. He's got the speed. We keep hearing about it. It hasn't translated. He's had so many breakdowns. You wonder how much he is able to, the terminology, is he having problems with that stuff? Is he just not getting the defense? Because physically, he's the guy, right? You would look at this guy and say, this is the guy we want to play that spot. Is he one of those guys that, needs game action and the practice field just isn't where he excels? Well, guess what? You might not get that opportunity. I would imagine that they want him to win that job. And it's tough to say, man, I got to win the job trying to defend A.J. Brown in practice. That's not the best way to show that you could be, the best out of the group. But I'm very intrigued. I go back to, they're playing Cooper at safety to try to get more ways to get on the field. But are we going to see more of Cooper and Quinion on the outside this year? Because I like Mac McWilliams, and I would not be surprised if they like him as well, if they think he can handle playing some slot.
Yeah, I like Mac McWilliams. I'm with you. Good coverage guy.
I liked him out of the draft. I said the day after he got drafted, don't be surprised if they say we got to find a way to get this guy on the field. And if that means he plays the slot more and Cooper goes to the outside. But I like Cooper in the slot. I'm very conflicted on that.
You like
have a guy.
Well, Cooper's safety now, man. It's looking pretty evident that he's going to be safety in the base.
In the base, but how much are you playing in the base?
Last year,
no, not much, like 10 snaps a game. But
right, exactly. So I think that's your way to hey, we want to keep him on the field for those extra 10 snaps. But
yeah. But my point is, if Mac McWilliams or somebody, or even Drew Makuba, can play the slot, all of a sudden, and that's way down the road. He's had a couple good practices. I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm more, and I'm surprised because I asked Vic, because in the spring, Cooper was playing outside in the base. He was playing corner. And as they started camp, now he's playing safety. And I asked Vic, why is that just part of the process? And he gave me more than I expected, to be honest. And he likes him at safety. And I think long term, I think it's leaning towards that's where Cooper's going. But it's still very early in the process. And to your point, Mike, you need somebody to play the slot if he's moving away from the slot.
Yeah.
This year, don't get me wrong, I still think Cooper's going to play in the safety and the base defense, which is 10 snaps a game. And he's going to play the vast majority of the time in the slot. But all I'm trying to say is if McWilliams is a natural, then why not start it early?
So who'd be outside in base? Would the assumption be Ringo opposite Quinion?
Yeah, Ringo or Jackson and opposite Quinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the question that Vic ended on yesterday. He said about Mac McWilliams. He's an interesting guy, almost like we didn't expect we were getting what we're getting from this guy from the slot. And if he can do it, I might have a couple moves I can make on the chessboard here.
He was what, a 5th round pick this year, McWilliams?
4th or 5th.
Fifth. Yeah.
He was Central Florida. He had transferred there.
He finished at Central Florida, went to UAB before that. He played mostly outside in college, and because he doesn't have the prototypical size, most people projected him inside. But and Vic started that cross training pretty quickly because he started him outside because that's where he was comfortable with, and now he's moved him inside, and he looks not overwhelmed at all, which I think is very positive. Yeah, but there's your Mac Williams update at Mike Gill Show. Thanks, Mike. I imagine you're waiting for the people to leave down the shore. How was that? How was that waiting for the start of the season? Has a different feel for you.
That's a big event in Ocean City this weekend too, isn't it?
I think Night in Venice is
it's a night in Venice.
Yeah. The day the people come down the shore is the day we can't wait for them to also leave the shore.
That makes sense to me. If you're a local,
we'll give you one designated day to sit down here, spend money, and then leave.
Well, they do. Hey, listen, those tourists do keep a lot of the economy rolling down there. So
believe me, it's definitely the conflict of without tourists, visit. Listen, the fall's fine down here. We do okay. It is. I drive because I go up to the Fanatic on Sundays, and I drive up, and on my way home, I just laugh at the people sitting in that traffic on the way back.
That's nice that you're going to the Fanatic on Sunday instead of Saturdays, because Saturdays you'd be sitting
the Saturday rentals. And I always, I was reading an article about like how the Jersey Shore, like the prices are so outrageous, it's so crazy, and everything, and it's like it's because it's like a tradition that people just go down the shore. There's got to be better vacationing spots than here. Like there was an article about this of like, is it more that it's just a tradition and that's what you're used to? Because there's got to be better places to find, because like these little beach towns and stuff, like at some point to sit in that traffic every single weekend can't be fun. It just cannot be a good time.
I don't know, man. You're talking to a guy. My whole family loves the beach. My grandma bought a house down there in 1978. We still own it. We still go to it.
It's the tradition of it. It's the tradition of it.
We love it. My family loves it a lot more than all my cousins. My specific family loves the beach. I mean, we love it, but I get it.
But I'm saying there's other beaches. There's beaches all up and down the coast.
Why? I know. I would never not go to Cape May. I mean, Cape May, Mike, that's my town. I love Cape May, dude.
I would recommend, if you want to make the drive, the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Yeah, now that's a long drive.
A long drive, but I've been to the Outer Banks, and that's where you go. There's no one on the beach. There's nothing to do there. You just sit there and enjoy yourself. They have the brew through. You drive through. They hand you your cold ones, and you go right to the house.
It is phenomenal. I maybe I shouldn't have recommended, because then people will figure it out.
I like it.
That 715 people watching, John, will now populate in the Outer Banks.
Yeah. I know everybody's got their specific town and why they like it, but it goes back to the tradition. This is where we went. This is where my family went. Yada yada yada. But there's not a whole heck of a lot of stuff to do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Like
love it. I hear
the
you.
old Jack's place.
You
in
sound like an
Seattle,
old man. Get
that's
off my.
gone.
You sound like
Get off Mike Gill's lawn.
Old man, get out of my town. That's what you sound
Yeah.
like, Mike. Good
Yeah.
stuff, Mike. We appreciate it, man. Make sure you guys follow Mike and subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's at Mike Gill Show. And listen to him at 97.3 ESPN down the shore, 97.5 The Fanatic on Sundays up in Philly. Mike, thank you, man. We appreciate you doing it on a Football Friday. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, see you.
Thanks, bud.
Mike Gill joining us here on Birds
He's
365.
going on vacation soon. I got to check that
Oh,
out.
that's right. I forgot to ask him.
He's going to Prague. He's going to Prague
Right,
and
we talked about
Lisbon.
Yeah.
So
The
forget
world
the outer,
traveler.
forget the Outer Banks.
Are you
Go
a
to
world,
Prague.
John, do you have the desire to world travel or not?
No,
No?
God, no. No, I
Some
travel.
people just have a major desire.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
wanderlust, whatever you call it. I traveled so much in my younger days. Like I hate travel.
Did you travel a lot in your younger days?
Oh my God, I used to.
Yeah, well, I'm young now.
No, not outside the country. I just mean in general here. I've been to every major city that has a sports team. So I just hate traveling. I hate hotel rooms.
It's now you're desensitized to the airport and everything. It's just a fucking nightmare.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah. I hate it. I gotta psych myself up like it's a game to go to the airport. When I gotta go to the airport, it's awful. Everything about it is awful.
It is. I'm so with you, man. It's brutal, but I hear you. Some people love it. Mike is a world traveler, man. This is like his second big trip in,
you know what?
in like 6 months. I'm like, holy moly, man.
You know what? Because Martin Frank, my buddy Martin Frank, it's always the lady in their lives that wants to go travel. I'm just saying. And they'll probably get mad at me because that's probably, it's always.
So is your wife on your page where
she'd like to go places.
Oh,
but,
she would.
Yeah, so she would definitely like to travel. And I hate it. I mean, she understands because I traveled so much earlier in my life. I like a lot of people like hotel rooms. I despise hotel rooms, even nice ones.
Yeah, I'm now that we are on the same page on. No, yeah, not me. Yeah, I'm a creature of habit, man. I like my domain. I like where I'm at. Like I don't like to. I'm good, but I get it. You're probably right. Maybe my girl will get to me eventually and get me to get out of the country, which I don't know. Seems like a big ass.
No, London, but and then it's cool. But yeah, there's a lot of things I did with him. Yeah, I'm done. I've done it all. It's one of those things.
I hear you. All right, let's get to some super chats. Then we'll get to our commercial break. We got a great hour number 2. And hour number 2, I'm going to open it up to take some chats from the great people. If you guys have any questions, anything you want to talk to J-Mac about, drop them in the chat. We appreciate all of our super chats as always. S Payne 690 checks in. What's up, brother? He says, J-Mac, Big Z, Big Sales, y'all keep me entertained on the road. Much appreciated. You got it, brother. Are there any sleepers that could potentially have a bigger role than expected? I think you might have heard one in Mac McWilliams there, John.
Yeah, Max one. Bigger. One of the things that is good about this team is they have so many good players. So guys, getting surprises are going to have to be probably due to injury. Mac's not going to play unless somebody gets hurt. But if he does play, maybe he's a little bit better than expected. Smile Munden, I thought was one of those guys, but now that Jihad's back so early, I don't think he's going to be as relevant. Ty Robinson's a guy who's got a chance to win that 4th job on the interior of the defensive line. So he's got an opportunity. I brought up APR a lot, Antoine Powell-Ryland. Now, I don't think it was a positive that they brought in the middle-sized O for APR. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I mean, this team is pretty locked in. So I wouldn't root for that, if that makes sense, because that means somebody is not performing up to expectations, and even more likely that is injured. So that's the path to bigger roles, and I wouldn't be necessarily rooting for that.
That's Payne. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. JD checking in. What's up, JD? He says Cam Newton is a goof. Dude been going at Jalen for a week. Man had one elite season and choked it away. Been a goof since he was stealing laptops in Florida. I don't know anything about that story, but yeah, it is a little drawn out now. It's like, all right.
All right. Once I get in the training camp mode, I don't see much of anything. I saw the first tidbit. I don't know if it's been going on for a week. I haven't seen any of it. The only thing I push back on, he had more than one season. He was a pretty good player. Dresses, kind of strangely, but that's okay. Flavor, but he was a really good player. Look up Cam Newton. Yeah, he played.
I know he was a great player, but I do think it's a little. I don't know. It's a little drawn out now. It's like, all right, a week straight of like coming up in jail. It's like, all right, enough.
Well, I don't even know what he.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. It was like a week ago. He put him out of his top.
Yeah, I saw the first one.
Yeah, and now it's like a week. He's like answering everybody that responds to him about Jalen Hurts. But anyway, and Martin checks in. What's up, brother? He says Raiders released Christian Wilkins. Yeah, we talked about that last night. 3-tech defensive line coming off a Jones fracture. Had his best year playing for Vic in Miami in 2023. Would the Eagles have interest? I'm nervous about the depth behind Carter.
Well, you should be, but you can't find Christian Wilkins to be depth. He's a good player. Now, again, as I mentioned last night on the show, I don't know what's going on the injury front with him. If he does need surgery, if he doesn't need surgery. But if he's healthy, no, the Eagles aren't signing him because he's going to get a lot of money. He's not a backup player. He's a very good player. That's why he got the contract he got. So, no, I don't necessarily see it as a fit because he's just, you can't pay him like a backup. And I know everybody, well, maybe he wants to go chase a Super Bowl ring. No, he wants money. And he's going to get it if he's deemed healthy by somebody out there.
And Martine, thank you, brother. We'll see what ends up happening. I do think he'd be an interesting addition. That's going to be a shit show, John. That with what's going on with that, I think at least I think it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. As a pure football player, would I love to have him? I'd love to have him for 32 teams if he's healthy. So I'm not trying to say he wouldn't be an interesting addition.
No, yeah, I know that. It's just not that. Yeah,
it's just not possible if he's healthy because he's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, we'll see. Apparently, yeah, that's what I saw. Joe Webb says he refused to get a second surgery. I saw that. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So who knows? Brian Garner checking in. What's up, brother? Member for 9 months. Thank you, man. Appreciate all of our great members. We got a bunch more giveaways coming up this year. So thanks everybody for being a member. Garner says, fellas, catching up on content. I live in Virginia now and travel to the Outer Banks every summer. It's getting crowded there. Not as bad as Jersey, but not empty.
Right. Well, good. I don't want to be responsible for ruining it. So already it's starting to get ruined. So. All right. At least it's not going to be my fault.
John, you would place yourself on the beach with not a soul within 50 miles.
Oh my God. Well, that's what I did in the Outer Banks. That's exactly what I did. You bring beer on the beach, at least back then. I assume it's the same.
I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to hear anybody. I don't want to talk about anything.
I was reading books, which nobody does. Yeah, exactly. Stay away.
You like, are you a big reader still or not really? Too busy?
Too busy. I mean, in the off season, I try to read as much as possible.
And that's how you get smarter.
Nonfiction though.
This is something I can subscribe to. Movie recommendations, I'll probably
nonfiction though, not a fiction.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't read fiction. Any book recommendations for the great people on this Football Friday?
No, it's interesting. Well, again, I read a lot of biographies, things like that. But so David McCullough, anything he does. But when it talks about, like I said, I'm not a fiction guy. Jordan, that's what I was saying. Nolan Smith There was a lot of book talk. It became Oprah's book club with Nolan Smith yesterday. So does a lot of self-help books with AJ Brown. I'm not a self-help guy either. So, but I just like to read about history and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what interests me.
Yeah.
Not
cool.
And unfortunately, you know, even now though, I've learned that history is written by the victors. So you're not often getting the full story. So, you know, maybe I'm a little bit too cynical now.
No, I think you're right on about that. History is definitely written by the victors. That's no doubt about it. Look, I just want to make one comment on this, and I'm gonna probably rip some people who do this. But Swagger says, I'm with J-Mac. I hate some jackass playing shitty music and talking loud right next to me while his kid hits me in the head with an errant frisbee. Now I'm good with the kid hitting me in the head, all right, because I'm good with kids having some fun. I hate people who bring speakers in public places and blare it up for everybody to hear. I'm like, all right, man, shut up. Nobody wants to hear your music. Nobody gives a shit about your music. Put on an earphone or something. That drives me crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, the Jersey Shore is just untenable at this stage.
It's great in the fall. It is, Mike.
I got it. Yeah, well, I'm with you. I love going down there, but I go down there mainly to eat and go to things, but all off season, not in season, so to speak. And it's disappointing because I left so yesterday was Thursday. I left at 3:00. 3:00 on a Thursday, going back to South Jersey on the Walt Whitman. It's the Walt Whitman. It's backed up at 3:00, 3/4 of the way over the bridge.
Don't you feel like ever since COVID that rush hour has gotten way earlier?
Well, these are all shore people trying to get down the shore down toward, and it's like it's not Saturdays. Mike points out Saturday. It's like I don't understand. Yeah, but you're right. To COVID points, it's like, doesn't anybody work a 9 to 5 anymore?
I don't know what happened, man. I don't know. Slagger, thanks for the comment. Appreciate all of you guys in here today. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to dive into the full takeaways from the first 2 days of practice. Eagles are on a walkthrough today with no media availability. All right, so nothing today, or at least John won't be down there today, and then back at it tomorrow there on the field. So we'll have a football 24/7 tomorrow to recap. So good stuff there. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button. Love all you guys. We'll be right back in 3 minutes on Birds 365.
Welcome